we are very pleased to have Mr. Silas Zimu, Special Advisor to the Ministry of Electricity and Energy, to come and be our first speaker. Silas, welcome. Half of these people are your friends. I just don't know which half, eh?
Thanks, Program Director. Please don't embarrass me. I can change the mic myself. So,
we cater for shorter people, eh? We don't discriminate.
So, firstly, apologies that the Minister could not make it. Since April 2023, he's never been on leave, and his boss forced him to be on leave this week. It's quite interesting because they also have cabinet where he's supposed to help the president, and there's also the presidential budget vote where he's supposed to help the president, but I think the president is relying on the GNU. So, quite interestingly, when one looks at the questions you posed, Program Director, I was wondering if the results would be the same if it was Trump asking them. And I think they would have been the same. But your audience didn't understand the AI one, or maybe I got it wrong. The same questions posed by the UN with their latest statement this week, I wonder if your 78% or 50% and the 0% would not have reversed. So it's quite interesting what the world is doing to itself. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Silas Zimu. I'm the advisor to the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Minister Dr. Ramokgopa, and apologies that he could not make it here. I'm the one that always follow the coal people. And I must say, since 2023, the coal people have listened. You've been quiet for a long time, and since last year, we can see you guys taking the space that you need. And I'm not going to specify why it's important, but if one looks even at the sponsors that are here today, you know, it's a sign that this industry is living, and the industry is going to live beyond the 15 years that the program director posed the question on. Why? Because, you know, everything to do with energy and electricity has to do with population. Our population is growing, and it does not give any sign that it's going to reduce at any time. I'm not sure about your offices and your bathrooms, but in all government offices, we still issue free condoms. But when you look at the stats, SA results, population is growing. So we need to cater for that population. Because that population is not the number of people, it's a demand. You don't have to go to university to understand it. It's a demand. A child born this morning needs warmth, and that warmth cannot only come from the mother. There's a light that the mother needs, there's warm water that the mother needs for the child not to have flu, for the child to survive up to your age. So that demand is growing, and it's growing faster than what we thought we knew about ourselves. The gap is so big that the supply has to come in behind the demand. Now, if you remember, 1990, when did I come back in South Africa? 1991, it was the opposite. The supply was bigger than the demand, but it was a deliberate formula. You know, the Afrikaners being clever, they didn't give electricity to the Takis, it was only for themselves, and they built 48,000 megawatts of power stations. Today, this is my question, how many megawatts do we have? Anyway, you are right. We've reduced the number of megawatts that they gave to us, that we inherited. On average now, we're roaming around 30,000 megawatts, same as the demand that we have. We connected a lot of people onto the grid. Yeah, I mean, some of my brothers and sisters are not even paying for the energy. But because it's in the constitution that they should get access, they got access. But what led the Afrikaners to do such an investment, where their investment officers were the CFOs at the time, I wonder. Because the CFOs today, when you tell them of a coal power station, they tell you it does not make any financial sense. But in the Afrikaners' time, it made financial sense. And we are where we are today as the only country in the continent that has got enough, and I'm saying enough under inverted commas, energy because of the Afrikaners. Don't forget that, because I keep reminding people. Now, people say, no, Treasury would not agree. There was Treasury then. But these guys were industrialists. They created jobs. They made the country to be what it is today. Vanderbijl Park, Vereeniging, Germiston, Boksburg, Roslyn, all of those were planned. And they were not called economic zones like we do call them today. But they were industrial sites where deliberately we will give them cheap electricity, they're all government run, and they'll create jobs and people of South Africa would live a better life. So what then happened is 2008, first load shedding. I mean, I studied in England. I studied electrical heavy current. Load shedding was not a term in my books. I only knew load shedding when I got to South Africa. Yeah, so 2008 it started. Then we came up with a program of demand-side management. Some clever people said, let's increase the tariff so that people can use less. South Africans are different animals. Didn't work. And the tariff today is 700% more expensive than in 1990. This is all during the times of the ANC, by the way. That does not mean I'm EFF or MK. You can guess where I am. But it's important that when we do benchmarks, we don't favor any party. We become fair to ourselves because we can learn from that. Then we reduce the demand, solar water heaters with its scandals, solar rooftops, energy efficiency, which I don't see how it worked and helped. And then we thought, okay, we are out of it. Then came 2014, 2015, another load shedding. The same formula. Now it's just easy for it to stop in 2016 because guess who was called to come and stop it? Silas. And I said to your former President Zuma that, no, it's easy. We did it in 2008. I can send you an SMS to do how to stop it. And I said, no, come and do it in my office. I don't understand you. And I did the same. Guys, municipalities, Eskom, 2, 1, 2, 3. Again, load shedding went. Then came 2023. Guess who get called again? Silas. Hey, by this time, I'm told, boy, it can't be demand-side management only. So we then said it's energy mix. That energy mix, to tell the truth, was introduced by President Zuma in 2016, for those who would like to remember. And that energy mix for South Africa is important because we're not a tourist country. We can live with renewables only if we were a tourist country. But we've got the ArcelorMittal, we've got Cape Gate, we've got ABBs, we've got all these big industries that are saying we still need base load. By the way, we've met all of them with the minister. I said, let's go meet the key players. At Eskom, they're called large power users. When I was still the head of Eskom distribution, I used to call them key customers. Big difference. Because when you're a key customer, you pay before you get a bill. But when you're a large power user, you wait for the bill, and then who suffers? Eskom. So it's all to do with the experience and the terminology of how you protect your industry. All of them have done some form of solar rooftops on their factories. Nearly all of them. We walked them. All the 7 automobiles. Acelo is running behind. The Indian-run companies, they say they do less. In the Boksburg area, when you fly, you can tell. All industries have got solar rooftops. So the minister asked them, so why are you still complaining? He said, we can't run our machines with solar. We still need base load. So it's not coming from the minister. It's coming from the industry. Now, that industry is what runs the economy of this country. So it can't be ignored. So people, when the minister gives a speech and I'm not there, then say, hey, you wrote a wrong speech for the minister. I say, why? No, he's promoting coal and nuclear. He's not promoting it. He's saying what he's told by the industry leaders. But he's also talking about renewables. There's no technology that is not promoting. Yeah. So today, load shedding is still smelling. With all the renewables, 6,000 plus on the IPP, and then the solar rooftops independent, about 4,000, we still, every day, every morning, the first call I get is from the minister. Please check with Midupi, please check with Duva, please check with, because there's always a unit that is out somewhere. And when it's not coming back, we get into load shedding. To a point where, as we sit, in the last 3 months, 4 general managers who are power station managers has been suspended for 7 days for not bringing back the units that they said they will bring on time.
Oh, wow.
You know? So we're starting to say, let them pay for it, because we can't say to God, bring the sun at the time we want, remove the clouds, don't take the wind. He hasn't got a cell phone. But the GMs at power stations have got cell phones. We can tell them when to bring what. So it's starting to bite on people. You know, imagine if you are a GM of a power station and your wife, you probably would have told the wife that I'm suspended for 7 days. But the children you don't tell. Then all of a sudden you're the one who's taking the children to school and they're asking, Daddy, but why are you taking us to school? Why is not Mommy? No, I want to take you to school. You won't say, no, I'm suspended. Then you fetch them, because you're not used to it, you get there late, and then, you know, but Daddy, Mommy comes here on time. So I'm saying these things are realistic. Because at some stage, you're going to dismiss them. And then it's going to be a bit bad. So where are we looking at? The whole world, when they had a challenge that we had, they started by fixing their current assets. What are our current assets? Coal power stations. It's by formula. It's not by the minister's liking that we have to fix the coal power stations. It was easy. When we went into coal power stations, April 2023, we realized that they were shut down, but they could be brought back. And the president said, all I want is the economy to be revitalized. So we said to the guys, look, bring back these units. And that's what stopped load shedding. It didn't stop the renewables, by the way, but from bid 5, they had some challenges as well. A lot of financial close challenges, grid access. So a balance had to be met. But these coal power stations helped us to get out of load shedding. What is not being told is that they are also using less coal, and you guys would know because they order from you. Meaning they're burning less and there's less emissions. And we tried to calculate it with the minister for his cabinet of last week. It's about 18% reduction on emissions since 2023. And somebody would want to challenge how and what. I'm not interested in that. You know, to a point where the program director asked me if I'm a politician. I'm not, but I can be a politician if you force me to. What I know is that I went to school and I studied what is the difference between base load, what can survive an economy, while my colleagues were studying some courses. And we were attending the same pubs in London with my environmentalist friends. So, are we the only ones that are running coal power stations? No. The whole world is doing it. We've seen with the Ukraine war. Germany. So what's interesting is that part of the JET partners, Germany is leading that. Okay, it's the UK, then Germany. And they always said, shut down. And when you shut down Komati, you must also demolish the structures. But when Ukraine war happened, they brought back their coal stations. They didn't demolish them. How stupid would we have been? Now, talking to executives like yourselves that are earning so much money with good bonuses, and I was checking the cars I was driving in with my A3, very nice cars. I always say to the minister, we must invite their spouses and ask them, do your spouses that are executives tell you that they're the ones that are causing load shedding? Because a lot of them are saying, no, shut down this, shut down this. One of them even wrote a very nice book, which I read. I don't understand what the book was about. All I was looking was for my name. Because people said, yo, he has mentioned so many names. And I remember having a breakfast with him, welcoming him as a CEO of Eskom, I'll support you. No, he didn't write about me. You can buy the book. There's no name of Silas there. So he actually listened. In that crossroad, the second thing that we have to do is to fast-track the rolling out of the renewable energy. We now have an experience that mixed with battery storage, it can be a base load. But something that we need to look at is the tariff. We still have 20 million plus people that are on a 375 rand grant per month. The average electricity is 600 rand. What are we saying to those people? So bring in the renewables, including solar rooftops for the poor, which is where Program Director, I'm actually rushing to MLO. There's a community that has been given 800 homes, solar rooftops with free Wi-Fi. So when I said to them, I'm postponing, they said, no, we'll wait for you. So I have to rush to MLO because they want to see me, show me what changed their lives. You know? And I would pledge and plead with you guys that you also do the same with your communities in your area. But let's not forget the climate change. What's happening in the KZN area with the rains is a sign that climate change is also something that we cannot forget. The fourth one is the tariff. We can't forget the poor as we're doing all of these technologies. There's to come a time where we're actually visiting the electricity pricing document to say, where does it fit the poor? Was Thabo Mbeki listened to when he said electricity should be for free, or we became emotional because we were run by CFOs? Is these billions that are owed to Eskom by the poor recoverable? And if they are, why are we still giving them grants? So we need to be realistic about the whole thing. So the president then became under pressure, and this I can tell you for free. The media people here, I forgot to ask.
Yeah, but unfortunately.
Fatherland, Bield, who was here? Anyway, I'll say it for free. So one of the first things that cost President Zuma his job was the load shedding, the crisis of electricity. So it was not surprising to me when the state president appointed a minister specific for electricity. He had to come up with something that the country would see that is taking real action. And he added something that he called the Energy Action Plan. In the Energy Action Plan, the first thing that he said the minister must do is fix Eskom. Now, where do you start when you fix Eskom? Do you start on the distribution side? No. Do you start on the transmission side? No. Where do you start? At the source, which is the generation side. Who is in the generation side? Coal power stations. The second thing that he said was continue to support renewable energy. The third one was to say, allow private sector participation. The fourth one was to say, roll out solar rooftops for everybody so as to reduce the demand. The last one was to say, unbundle Eskom. So hence we now have the National Transmission Company of South Africa with its own chairman, its own board, its own exco. You know, it's got its own challenges. The first one is the branding of it. Their offices are at Megawatt Park, A block where I used to have an office with Alan Morgan. So they're still Escomites. When you enter Eskom, you just see blue and white, and NTCSA is somewhere there. It's going to take time for them to brand themselves as a company independent. So we've given them 5 years to be themselves. And I'm sure they're looking for nice posh offices somewhere in Sentin. That's fine, as long as the grid would be accessible. So when you look at that, we then said, let's come up with our own priorities as the ministry. And the minister said, the first priority for him is universal access. Everybody must have access to electricity, to energy. The second one is have energy sovereignty for our country and regional energy security for especially SADC. Because it does not help us South Africans having enough electricity and our neighboring states don't have. We're supplying all of them. People say, no, Mozambique is supplying South Africa. Yes, we're getting that 1,005 from Mozambique. It's now about 600 because they've got hydro challenges. But we're selling the same amount back to Mozal, so we're not getting anything from them. We're actually losing out because we're selling it cheaper to Mozal. You know? So imagine all our neighboring countries having enough electricity for themselves, companies, the Sentins are booming all over. But you and I, when we think of holidays, we can think of Lesotho because there's everything there instead of Paris. So we can walk there, you know, it will be cheaper holidays for us. Until they realize that they are sitting on opportunities which cannot be activated because they don't have enough energy, then we are doomed. So, the less said by all of them owing Eskom, the better. The minister also says, let's industrialize while we're doing this, especially on the renewable and the transmission expansion. In all the solar farms that I've visited, I ask, where is this nut and bolt coming from? They're all from China. They're all from China. I want somebody to challenge me. All of them, including the one that I visited last week in Musina. I drove for 6 hours to have a look at this thing. Everything packaged from China, nothing from South Africa. The councillors were actually saying, you know, Mr. Zimu, what's said is that even the wheelbarrows they buy from China, everything comes from China. And it's still a take or pay. It has to change. It will change. There's things that will specify that must be done and made in South Africa. By the way, I'm not talking from something I don't know. I built the first wind farm cookhouse in South Africa. And when people said nothing can come from South Africa, there's a lot of things that I bought from Somerset East, Bedford, and cookhouse myself. Yes, they were made by Afrikaners, locals. They were not blacks. I could not enforce a BE at the time, a pragmatic. I mean, I was an EPC. I'm given a deadline. But those things came from South Africa. They can be made in South Africa. It's not true that they can't be made. It's actually an insult that we can't manufacture some of those things in South Africa. How am I on time, Program Director?
I've got so many questions from the audience for you.
Okay, okay. The minister also says, let's be innovative. Carbon capture and storage. Some of you were there when Minister Mantashe opened, I call it the big hole in Leandra. It was very cold that morning when I went there. And he said, no, come and have a look at this. So Minister said, go and check. It's something doable. But why can't you guys help Minister Mantashe by investing in making sure that that happens quicker? You know, with us in ministries, we take time. I look at what time, when will I be reshuffled? And by the way, reshuffling is a reality all of a sudden. People thought CR cannot reshuffle. We can also be out tomorrow. I told the minister, I saw this thing in 2015. Now, Zuma was strategic. He did it midnight when you were sleeping. CR does it 7 o'clock while you're watching the news. So, but it's called management, and if you're a good leader, you must know some of the decisions you take can also bite you. But the country can now see that you do take decisions. Whether they're right or not, it's something else. Then came what we call the integrated resource plan. So what you are missing, Program Director, is the integrated energy plan, which is my mentioning of the Afrikaners, that they had an energy plan. They planned for the future. And they know they would recover their money over time. We don't have that at the moment. So my take is that we need a minimum of another 20,000 megawatts of base load only. Because seeing at the coal station's performance, with all due respect to Eskom, there's a lot of challenges there, especially on partial load losses, things that we thought they'd be easy to fix. They are struggling to fix them. So there would come a time where we say, they are failing, let's close them down, but we need to replace them with something. So the IRP is out. You guys have put your comments on it. It's quite interesting because it's showing that in the next 15 years of your question, Program Director, we're going to rely on coal. And what I said last week to the Minister and the Deputy Minister, the next 15 years will be asking me every day again, are we safe? And I can't live like that, guys. You know, these things create piles, they create headaches. And my wife asked me, why don't you sleep at night? I thought I was sleeping, and she says I'm talking coal, renewable, while sleeping. You know, she even knows the names of the GMs because I call them by name while I'm sleeping. Biggie, is this fine? Karabo, is this fine? So you need to help me to get out of that. I need to relax as well. I cut my hair because it's not a fashion, because I've grown bald while I'm young because of the challenges of this country.
And that's even before the question. Then you're going to lose your hair.
So what saved us, in summary, is the coal power stations saved our economy. We need to then increase the access on renewables through the upgrading, new construction of transmission lines. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. We met with the Minister of Public Works last week and he was shocked. We need to expropriate land now for the transmission lines to be built. Because for some reason, Eskom guys, they went through, their plans are over people's property, and some of those properties are private. So when people thought we're buying land away from the suburbs to be safe, all of a sudden we're following them, and we need to expropriate. And it's not going to be an easy one. So the jet has to be morally fair to the people. We don't want another Komati experience. And they are starting to understand that, which makes our life easy. You can't do it without the people. If it's for the people, you must do it with the people. You can't take an electrical outage manager of Komati and make her a person who can plant vegetables. Guys, and I ask her, are you happy with it? No, I am, because I don't have an option, I was told. So I've spoken about Donald Trump, I've spoken about the United Nations. What the United Nations had forgot to say is the experience of Germany, Spain, Portugal, and now the Netherlands with their power outages. We'll never be told the truth of what happened there. But some of us, as I said, an engineer with a master's in engineering, from the UK for that matter, not from Stellenbosch, the program director, with all due respect.
Good.
Did my qualifications in English. So I've never been to a classroom in South Africa, and I don't regret. Because the people that I've met are the ones that are causing us load shedding, and they are from Stellenbosch, Wits, and all of that. Coal leads the economy. It's going to lead the economy for another 15 years, as I say, as per the IRP. You'll see when it's published. It's coal power stations that balances our grid so that we don't have all these challenges that the other countries have had on grid instability. It's important that we industrialize as we do that, because that industrialization leads to jobs, and jobs leads to employment. Employment leads to the destruction of poverty. The three biggest things that we have as challenges in South Africa is the inequality, poverty, and unemployment. Program Director, I didn't want to be specific whether we are pro-coal or not, but I tried to show you that we can't do without coal. And please, don't criticize us when we also promoting renewables. We're gonna make renewable programs. We're planning to make programs that don't have bid 8, then wait, and then have bid 9. We want to show bid 8 to 12 upfront so that the renewables IPP can also plan when we force them to do industrialization to say they know what's coming. Program Director, with all those few words, may I not take any questions, and thank you for listening to me. I'm now off to my community in Ermelo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Silas. Thank you. You can stand right there. Yeah, the first question comes from an unknown person by the name of Frans Baleni. He's a bit of a shit stirrer, you know.
Is she here? Well, who's he? She?
I don't know. Yeah, she, yeah.
Okay.
So the minister said the electricity price is too high. How will the electricity price to be managed to affordability? Can we talk about pricing briefly? Clearly, you cannot just bail yourself out by electricity price increases. It's destroying the economy, but nothing changes. What will change that?
Okay.
Briefly, sir.
So when you look at the tariff itself and you analyze it, and this is why I need security, because after what I'm going to say, I need to be taken out like that. 50% of the tariff price is from coal price. So if you need to reduce the tariffs, you guys have to reduce your price. I've engaged some of you. There's innovative ways that it can be done, but I don't think Eskom executives are ready for such a discussion. That's one. Two, a very big part of that tariff price is from bid 1 to windows that were expensive and are pass-throughs. But the experience of bid windows 3 to now, of the reduction of tariff, gives us an opportunity to use the renewables to can balance the tariff and in some stage say we're not going to increase it or we're going to increase it. So the renewables are our savior because I can't tell you guys to reduce your price.
We live in hope. We live in hope.
But Program Director, I kept on mentioning the poor and the people who are on grants because that's where we're targeting with this tariff thing. It's not you. You're too rich. It's cross-subsidizing. We're not going to take money from you, but we're going to remove and reduce the demand from poor households using renewables. And then we're going to introduce a very nice tariff. I mean, the community I'm going to, they pay 150 Rand per month instead of 900 Rand. It's a big difference. So that's really where we're targeting. The majority on population are the poor, and we're going to introduce that cheaper tariff for them. For businesses, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, the smelters, I feel sorry for you guys, but a lot of the smelters have come to the party. A lot of them are saying, we own coal mines, we can give you cheap coal as long as you can continue giving us cheap electricity. And we're discussing it. It's doable. Thanks.
We'll talk about smelters at some stage because China is winning nicely with our exports today. Gas. There are lots of questions about gas. You didn't speak a lot about gas. Does gas fit into our future at the expense of coal instead of nuclear? Just talk a little bit about gas, if you don't mind, Silas.
Yeah. So we've got a delayed something called the Gas Master Plan, but it's starting to gain momentum. There's a 3,000 megawatt gas to power Section 34 determination that was given to Eskom donkey years ago. I don't see it happening. Not because there's no gas, but there's a lot of things that they must still do, land for their transmission lines and all that. There's other ones that were given to the IPPs, and they're saying they don't have enough gas. Now, if your first question was on tariff, imagine the fluctuation of gas. So we need to protect you as the constituency of South Africa to say, as long as the gas is expensive, it's not going to happen, guys. Otherwise, one of us, or I'll have to resign. I can't afford to support something that's going to make your house bill to be 5 rand per kilowatt hour. I can't. So we are looking at gas differently though. So we were approached by the gas users to say, with Sasol saying 2026, 27, there wouldn't be gas, because Mozambique say they're running off gas, which is unbelievable. I think it's more relationships, bad relationships between Sasol and Mozambique, because the Mozambicans are saying they can't give us gas. So there is gas, it's just that it's still expensive, and our ports are not ready for it. You mentioned Transnet and Portsnet. So it's not going to happen sooner than what we expect. What we know is that if the gas to energy does not happen, the gas to power, then a lot of the gas user industries are going to shut down, because then they need us to add to the petajoules that they need so that they can get it cheaper. So there is a task team that the minister has put together. They're going around the world. Some countries are promising us good gas, good price of gas, but now we don't have storage as well. You know, this country. Let's stop it there. But it will happen. It's not replacing coal at all. It's not going to replace coal.
I want to ask the final question, and there are lots of questions into amazing detail sometimes. For me, the interesting question is, so we have to accept there will be a growth in renewables, from rooftop to industrial scale. You speak as if there will be a baseload shortfall. So if we ignore renewables and its growth, where will the additional power come from? Is it nuclear? Is it are we building new coal power stations in your time in South Africa?
Yeah, the last question is interesting. You know, in the IPP office in 2016, there was 2 coal power stations to be built.
Yes.
I think one was by the Japanese, Marubeni, and Aqua, the Saudis, and our banks said they're not funding coal. So until the banks change their minds, I don't see it happening. I mean, I was sent to go speak to the banks, and I thought I had a good formula. I took all the COSATU leaders with me, you know, say, make noise, just make noise. They made enough noise, but till today, nothing happened. Then the meeting was in 2017. So I don't see it happening. I'll talk about nuclear as well, but if you look at the experience of nuclear worldwide, it takes time. So the minister, every time the nuclear guys come to us and say, Silas, will you still be alive? I said, I don't know, I'm not sure. But it has to start, not on a big scale like Quebec, but probably with the small modular reactors, distributed, generated, deliberately put them nearly in all the provinces so that you can then make each province sustainable. But renewables are what will save us as we speak. They are quicker to roll out, and with the battery storage and some of the projects that we've already done on battery storage, they seem to be the answer for commercial and residential and agricultural sector. But for industrial sector, we still have a challenge.
Yeah. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for the questions. It's his fault only that we didn't get to all the questions, because he's not an engineer anymore. He's a politician. He takes up all the time. But what a valuable input. I don't tell the minister, but you may be even better value for money than him. I know he's also an engineer. He speaks well. But you were bloody good, so thank you very much.
That's why we look the same. So.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.